Sometimes you're frustrated because babies can't communicate but with a cry. And so it's very much like you got to figure it out at 4 a.m. when your brain is like half, not even half, probably like 3/4 off.
Hey, kings and queens and everything in between. Welcome to this episode of A Sip with Samad podcast. And I'm your host, Samad. Let's jump in.
For love, why are you hiding from me? I quickly give my freedom to be held in your captivity. I am ready for love. All of the joy and the pain, and all the time that it takes just to stay in your good grace. Welcome back to this episode of A Sip with Samad. And y'all know who this is, of course. But if you don't, and this is your first time tuning in, I'm Samad, and you're sipping with me. This is an exciting show to be back to. So you all see I am wearing my HBCU paraphernalia. And of course, if I have to start the show or start my seasons of wearing the HBCU gear, I'm going to start with my alma mater, Morehouse. And it's homecoming time. It is homecoming time. Come on home. Come on. Come on home, y'all. I love this time of the year. If I'm being completely honest with you, though, I kind of, until this point in life, dreaded homecoming. And it wasn't because I have so much pride for Morehouse. I have so much pride for all HBCUs, but of course I have the most pride for my alma mater, Morehouse College, the Morehouse College. I love it. I love what it's done for me. I am a product of Paterson, New Jersey and Morehouse College. And those two together got you this. And so it is exciting. But I think about everybody else just reminiscing and talking about their homecoming experience as well. And it is, I don't know, if that don't make you, if that and the Cosby Show and what do you call that? A Different World don't make you want to go to an HBCU. I mean, and then you just think about all the amazing people that HBCUs produce. Me and all my friends, right? The Vice President of the United States who is running to be President of the United States. It's just so many phenomenal things that come out of HBCUs, and it makes me smile. It gives me joy. And I look forward to, at some point in my life, being able to continue to contribute. I do through my work, of course, every day, but I want to take charge and be able to transcend an HBCU at some point. So yeah, I'm sorry. Homecoming season is upon us, and it just gives me so much joy, so much joy. I am sipping. I hope you are too. Y'all like my little mug that I got here? So this was some developmental toys that came with Avery's, came for Avery as a gift. And this mug came with it. It reads, the days are long, but the years are short. Talking about, your babies. And so I am sipping out of this mug today, and I don't know what it is. I did just get a new espresso machine though, but this ain't espresso. I realize I need to, start holding close to my chest what I'm sipping sometimes, not because you all will go ahead and sip it, but I just don't want y'all out here thinking I'm drinking my life away. But as a budding parent and having the new sort of, I would say, the czar of blowout diapers, we're going to talk about that. I deserve to be able to sip in peace. So warm, so cozy. It has a dash of tequila in it. So, but no, yeah, welcome back. All that good jazz. And that's what I'm sipping in my conspiracy secrecy mug here. Baby update. Avery is growing so big. She is, I can't really describe the type of love you have for this adorable being. I mean, she is delectable. I mean, she's just, and she looks at you with those big eyes and that round face, and she's starting to smile at you now. Y'all, just, it's going to be a mess. It's going to be a mess. And not a mess in a bad way, but a mess in that, I did never in a million years that I think I would be that parent. But I think I'm about to be that parent, overprotective a little bit within reason. I don't want to be too overprotective, but I just love being around her and I love her being around me. I can feel the endorphins just, it's just such a good feeling to be so responsible. And it's also a tiring feeling. I think that people don't kind of tell you about, I don't think, so all my friends who have kids, I don't think y'all were honest with me. All y'all did was told me about expect to get all the sleep you can get now. That's everything everybody told me. But there's an emotional piece to it. There is like a growing protection for this being. There is sometimes you're frustrated because babies can't communicate but with a cry. And so it's very much like you got to figure it out at 4 a.m. when your brain is like half, not even half, probably like 3/4 off. So you get those moments where you're like, oh my God. And even a person like me who was very like gung ho, yes, I want a kid, I want a family. There's sometimes you sit there like, what the fuck did I just sign up for? Like, you do but it's not a questioning per se of like, I want to give it back, but it's more so like, damn, you thought about a lot. Did you think about this? Did you consider this part? So, but she's adorable. I'm enjoying the fact that as she gets older that we are able to start going places. So we actually went out to lunch today with her, and I believe in exposing kids to things early. Why? Because I also believe that if you expose them to things early, it becomes normal. So riding on the plane, it becomes normal. I've been doing this since I was a baby. Going out to restaurants and knowing, everybody ain't in here screaming and yelling. Why? Because I've been doing this since I was a baby. Just even commuting or walking through the woods, like they become more familiar with it because they've been exposed to it early. And I always say, like, I always wonder why, at least here in the States, because I think when you go to other countries, I remember being in Barcelona and it was a baby in the restaurant, and this was a nice restaurant, and you didn't even know the baby was there. And part of me said, and when I say baby, I'm thinking like more of a toddler. And part of me said, I wonder if this toddler knows how to behave in my bunny ears, because they were exposed to it early on and it just was a part of their life. So I encourage my friends with children, like if you have young children, start taking their asses out, like familiarize them with it. So that way, when they ride on the airplane, they're not the kid that's screaming and kicking the chair of the person in front of them. That's why you do this. So people aren't looking at you weird, like, why are they crying? And I mean, and it's okay, baby's gonna cry. But there are some kids, the hellions, as I like to call them, some of them that they weren't trained right. And somebody need to go ahead and yoke them up really quick. But I don't condone violence at all. But I do condone yoking up and just like talking like sternly, like, what are you doing? That look, you get the the Michelle Obama look when she, that look right there. So Let's see. I forgot to tell you, I talked about this shirt, but I didn't give you the backstory behind it. So I've actually had this shirt, this very shirt right here since I was in college. This is vintage Samad. I have pictures of this shirt. If I can find them, I will put it up so you can see, but I have pictures in this shirt, with Miss Maroon and White, I think 2008, 2009 school year. Academic year. So I've had this shirt that long and it still fits me well. I looked at the picture and I do look a little, the shirt is eating me up a bit and I was very, very thin. So this is my grown man look. You see how I've filled out, and in this picture, I am give this child a piece of chicken. I like this new look, and one of the things that I'm also starting to appreciate as I get older is, it's nothing wrong with being a little, filled in. When you color, you fill in the line. So when you color, you fill in the lines. But yeah, I've had this shirt that long. This is amazing that it still fits me like this. It is a little bit more snug, but it's cute. I like it. And shout out to Malcolm, my barber. He always gets me right, been getting me right, I don't know why I said it like that, but he's been cutting my hair since, probably 20 something years. And so just, it's interesting when your barber becomes your friend. And I talked about him, I'm sure, on a previous episode. And at some point he's going to be on. He was actually at the house and he was saying he wanted to come on, but he wouldn't have needed to give me a haircut. He was here earlier this week and needed to give me a haircut, and it was off of our rotation. Because for those of you who know me and my haircuts, I like to get my haircut at the end of the week because I want to feel good at the end of the week, right? And start, Monday off still feeling fresh. By the time you get to Tuesday, you're like, okay, it's going downhill, but I still can maintain it. By Wednesday, you are pretty much like, wow, I look a hot ass mess. By Thursday, you're in full crisis mode. And then you make it to Friday and you get your hair cut and you do the damn thing all over again. That is the life cycle of a haircut. Now, I get my hair cut every week. That's me. I can remember growing up and when you're a kid and you're not making any money, you don't have, so you're getting paid, your haircuts are being paid for by your parents or by relatives. You can't get it cut as frequent. So for me back in the day, I felt fresh on Friday. I made it and then I looked horrible for a whole week. And then it was just too much of a period. So I like it's better for me just to get it cut this way. And I have a standard to uphold. I feel like because you all expect this of me, you all expect me to at least look good on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And Tuesday, I may not see you. Wednesday, I'm definitely not see you. Thursday, it's rare I'll see you, but Friday, I'll be back out. I guess that should change since I'm like a dad now. So should I get it cut so I look good Monday through Friday, and on the weekends I can just look bad? I mean, I don't really look bad, but for me it's bad. But my bad is still somebody's 100. So ain't that the truth? Anyway, like I said, Avery's doing well. I am looking forward to going to the Morehouse homecoming experience. I'll be there. Hopefully, there is the fact that vice president or seeking into existence, speaking into existence, Vice President Harris is actually going to be attending a couple of HBCU homecomings, and Morehouse or Spellhouse homecoming is on the list. And so she'll be bringing some celebrities with her. So I just hope it's not like it was when we first got out of the pandemic and it was so packed that we could barely move. And it was like being stuck in a can of sardines. Like it was bad. It was so bad. So much so I didn't go back for like maybe 2 years. So this is like the first year I'm going to go back. I'm really excited to connect with some friends. We're all adults now. So it's just interesting to check in. By the way, I've gotten some really good feedback on the episode with Amari Ice. I definitely look forward to having him back on the show. I thought it was a great conversation, and we were able to not only share like the side of relationship building and love and finding happiness, like the theoretical side of it, or the more educated side of it, but it's also like, hey, this is how it actually manifests itself in real life. Like this is what we're seeing. And so while it's great to believe that folks can't find love, it's also, well, if we look at the stuff that's out there, what's really happening. So I look forward to diving in some more with him. He definitely agreed to come back to the show. So we'll figure out when we can get him back in. I just wanted to give you all a heads up that I will be experimenting. I want to make some shifts in the show. I think that when I think back to when I created this show and this experience, it was to meld all the different working pieces of myself together and have a candid conversation with a friend as we sip. Whatever we sip, we're sipping and we're talking. It could be sipping some tea. So flavorful, whatever I'm drinking. But no, that was the reason for creating this show. And now I feel like it is worth exploring whether or not I want to start to lead with more of where I see my life going versus where my life was. And so that's kind of the evolution of this, right? Is that we're documenting the evolution of our lives together. And here we are now in a major stake, which is centered around parenthood and fatherhood. And I want to be able to share that with you all. And so because it's such a major part of what my life is now, I'm like, why hide that from y'all? Because that was the whole purpose of creating this space, right? So it'll be interesting. I know some people are like, I don't want to hear about you talk about your damn kid all the damn time. And that's fine. That is perfectly fine. I still do hope that you tune in when I'm not talking about her. Or just talking about some of the things that I'm experiencing as I go through the journey of raising her to be the best person she can be. Just think about her. It makes me smile. I should have sang that song instead. It was on my list, but all right. So let's talk about some lessons learned this week. And I want to share these with you all because they are just things that came to me. And I was like, man, that's definitely worth discussing. So the first thing, or the first sort of thing that I came to terms with or realized this week is, we oftentimes hear people refer to others as control freaks. And control freaks has a negative connotation to it, right? I've never seen somebody be like, oh yes, I'm a control freak. Or when you take a job interview and they're like, so tell me a strength about you. Well, first of all, that was a great question. Second of all, I am a control freak. Right? Like nobody takes that with pride. But it was like more recently, I was having a conversation and I realized that we all, to a certain extent, are a control freak. Right? But it's not from a bad space. So it's not a bad thing sometimes to be a control freak. And the reason why I say it's not bad sometimes is because oftentimes people are controlling or want things to be controlled, right? If you think about it, even from a scientific perspective, they want things to be controlled because they know what the outcomes will be in those particular spaces. And then there are other people. So there's like, let me simplify this. There are some people who can juggle 3 balls at one time. Now, if you take that person and say, hey, I would like to add another ball. In addition to adding that ball, I want you to run on the elliptical. And that person's like, well, wait a minute now, because I only know how to juggle with these 3 balls. Now, adding another ball and elliptical, I'd rather stay over here with something and be successful with what I know. And that's not a bad thing. Like people are saying, I think sometimes, and we may not be articulating it right, is, hey, I feel comfortable with this. But what we do is we lead with what we want, and it comes off as sometimes controlling. And I say we because I do it too. And I don't like, it's not that I'm trying to do it. I'm very much more on the side of put me on the elliptical with the extra ball, but still within a controlled environment. Like there's still elements of this chaos that I can control, right? I guess the question I have for you is, how do you see being a control freak? Like, would you say there's certain parts of you that would be looked at as being a control freak? Has anybody ever called you a control freak? And if they have called you a control freak, what was it about? Like, was it about finances? Was it about living? Was it about where we going out to eat? Was it about what we doing, what we wearing? Like, now, some of those, right, I was like, okay, so I'm trying to now take this theory that I've put forward or hypothesis here and say, okay, somebody who's controlling about what somebody else is wearing, that might be because they want attention and they know that the only way to get the attention is to look a certain way. I don't know. I just made that up off the top of my head. What y'all think? No, I don't know, but I do believe that we all, to a certain degree, are control freaks at the end of the day. I do know that, control does show its face in different ways, right? But what I also do know is that, and there are some people who are controlling in a more manipulative manner, and it's hard to split that line, but I think we all want control. We all are seeking some sort of control to a certain degree. And some of us are like, well, I know this control will lead to this. I know for me, pushing the envelope sometimes has led me to success. So I'm going to keep going and keep pushing and give direction where I could, just based off of what I know. There's some people who are like, no, I'm good. Like, it makes sense to me. Like I'm trying to justify things in life that I've seen. Like, aside from situational sort of differences, there are some friends. I had a friend who said, I don't want to go to college because my mother doesn't know what to expect there and I don't know what to expect there. And so what she was saying is that I can exist in this controlled space. I know what to expect. Damn it. Control freaks and fear. Is fear of the unknown. Damn it. And at the end of the day, we all fear what we don't know a little bit. So now, I know some of y'all be on these journeys with me as I think through out loud with you, like, damn, where did he go and how did he get here? But, or maybe you saw it all along, but yeah, so it's less about being control freak and more being about having a fear of the unknown. And I think we all fear something. We all fear the unknown of something, but some people can do better at not fearing most things, but fearing this one particular thing. Man, that was good. It was good for the sake of this conversation. Now, you may say, I didn't find that good. And blessings, peace and blessings unto you. But for those of us who are really, really entrenched in this, I loved it. I loved it. All right. The second lesson that I learned this week was, you think that people are not watching you, but in reality, they really are. And I say that because, as I'm on this journey of figuring out how I want to sort of position myself for whatever my next career move will be, I'm also cognizant of the fact that most people look at my career background, my educational background, and they may say, well, damn, he worked that. But the fact of the matter is, nobody ever says it to you. Sometimes, you may go your whole life and nobody will tell you that, damn, you did a good job. Or they may not tell it to you, or maybe the right person hasn't told it to you, right? And because the right person hasn't told it to you or said it to you, you kind of keep going. And you keep, trying to get more or achieve more and go for more. You just going and going and going because you think that nobody hasn't seen what you've achieved, or you feel like you haven't achieved enough because maybe that person that For me, maybe it's because I haven't gotten a call from, President and First Lady Michelle Obama, President Obama, First Lady Michelle Obama, saying, damn, Samad, you did well. And that's it for me. But I realized, like, I'm talking to some people, of course, like I said, I'm doing some strategy work while I'm on parental leave. Yeah, the person said, Samad, you actually are very accomplished. And my response was, thank you. I wish I could, convince myself of that. And so I had to kind of unpack that. And I was like, well, why the hell did you do that? And it's because while I feel like I've achieved stuff, maybe it's because life didn't go the way it was supposed to go after you achieve the things. I can remember when I graduated from UGA with my PhD, and I was going out and I was applying for jobs. And I don't know, I had this weird idea that, and getting this degree, one of the highest degrees in the world, right? That would automatically make me eligible for any type of job. And that's when I kind of learned the difference between a career and a job, right? Because I was applying just to jobs. I was like, well, I mean, I have a PhD. I should get whatever job I want. I should be able to walk into here and say, Dr. Samad West Keys, and get this job. And that was not the case. And so it's like, yeah, this was something that seemed like an accomplishment to me, but I had a experience, right, where I did not get any job. Like, there was one point where I was applying I remember I applied to an executive assistant job once before, and the woman from the organization called me and she said, your background is so impressive. Once again, somebody affirming that. She was like, your background is so oppressing, not oppressing. No, impressive. Excuse me. Your background is so impressive. And she's like, but I can't hire you. And I'm like, I need a job, girl. I need you to go ahead and hire me, please. And she was like, no, if I do that, it will be a disservice to you and a disservice to myself. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, but no, I want to get my foot in the door and work my way up. Like, girl, please hire me. I need this money. And she was like, I look forward to seeing you in the future. Like, yeah, people are watching you. And sometimes they may not let you know that they're watching you. Sometimes they may not affirm but folks are watching you. And I think that that's important to know, right? But it's also important to kind of like dig deeper into why sometimes we don't acknowledge, like, what is holding us back? Like, what are those traumatic experiences that you may have had that made you say, I was a presidential management fellow. I was not, just for the record, but I was a presidential management fellow. And you're still like, but I got to keep on keeping on. Like, when does it stop? When do you get to a place in your life where you're just like, maybe that, like, we talked about this in a previous episode where we're like, when do you stop dreaming? Like, seriously, do you stop dreaming? Or when, like, there's some people who are like, I'm good. I'm stopping right here. What does that feel like? Are you do you feel some type of way that lets you, like, there's some people who I just know are like, no, I'm good right here. I'm going to stay right here. This is it. And it goes back to what I said before. I think it still goes back to the fear of the unknown, because if I go to this next level, it may require more of my life. It may require more brain power than I care to put in. It may require things that I don't know it will require. And as a result, I may be unsuccessful. Is you preaching tonight? I know this might be in the Bible somewhere. Just go ahead and take this one and run with it. But no, I do. Like I said, life's experiences, they're so nuanced. They're so nuanced and so vague. And you'll keep learning more and more about yourself. All right. I meant to tell you, and I'm going to say this one last thing, and then we're going to start wrapping this up. I got to go give Avery a bath. But parental leave. So it's now been officially a little over a month now since I've been on parental leave. I had to do my own little assessment. And the assessment really was, I don't know if being a stay-at-home dad is my thing. I mean, I'll do it if I have to do it, but I like the structure I was a kid who liked school because of the structure. And I feel like work provides me structure, and not being able to go into work gives me a little angst because I'm like, I need that structure. Like you be sitting there like, damn, what the hell I'm going to do today? Because in your mind, at least now that I have a kid, I'm like, I don't want to spend no money. So I ain't trying to do that. So you just be looking for shit to do. I'm going to go for a run, and then I'm going to take the baby for a walk, and then I'm going to go grab lunch. This is very privileged. I can't, look, I grew up, we have a history of oppression on the Black side. And so I need to work a little bit. I got to do something. So, but I've been doing some personal building as well, right? So in addition to the Avery time and the bonding time, which I am loving to death, I do think that there is like, I gotta find spaces to nurture me, right? Get energy from the things that I feel give me energy, because I can't be good to Avery, I can't be good to Alan if I'm not good to myself. So that's one aspect of it. Then so it's the bonding, it's the self-nurturing aspect. And then there's the work that I'm doing right now is more internal. And when I say it's internal work, it really means that I am trying to just figure out the pieces, my life, what is going on? Where do I want to go? I just don't know if I will have the time to do this ever again in life. That's what I don't know. I want to take full advantage of this time, because I think that, and having Avery is also giving me a little bit more clarity around what it is that I want to do to balance my time with her on this world, or in this world, and the time in my career. So going back to the whole, piece around being able to juggle, like controlling, I'm like, well, I feel like I have the capacity to take on more. What can I look like? Albeit higher ed leadership or organizational leadership or leaning heavily into voice acting. I'd be interested to know, like, what would you do if you had time to plan out your life? Could you do that? Like, what if, because I feel like when you think about it, we've had so much time to plan our lives when we were younger. We just didn't know that we were supposed to be planning our lives a little bit, and I think I did too, but it was kind of loosely defined. There's some people who are like Carlton Banks and it's like, no, this is what I'm going to do. By the way, I've been watching The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the new spinoff on Peacock. We're going to talk about this at a later date, but you can be like a Carlton Banks, I guess, or you could be like a Will Smith. Yeah. What would you do? Seriously, like if you had the opportunity to plan out your life, what would you have done differently? Where do you feel you would be? And I have this opportunity, but I have it at 40, right? And so I think, having it when you were younger, like in high school and middle school and even in college, where you can plan out your life a little bit more. What does planning out your life look like in 40, at 40 or 40 plus, right? Are you still doing that? I know people do vision boards and stuff, and that's great. That's cute. But no, I don't want to see the vision board. Like, I want to plan. So let me know. Are you still planning your life at your big old age? Tell me. All right, y'all. So I'm going to bring this to a wrap. It's been a great experience chatting and catching up with you. I look forward to doing this more and more. Happy homecoming to all of my HBCUs, and my fellow HBCU alums. I love this time of year. Once again, it's like fall is coming and HBCU season is here. HBCU homecoming season is here. But also, while I have you, I still do want to ask you to do me a favor. I'm going to ask this probably every show. If you could just do me a favor and text somebody random and say, hey, you should check out this podcast, and send them this link. So however you're listening to it, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, however you're listening to this podcast or watching this podcast, text it to just some random person. Even if it's somebody that text it to your do not answer list. We all should have one of those. So text it to somebody on do not answer list, because they're going to click the link probably. And when they click the link, it does more for all of us, right? Because I can then give you the quality content that you so desire. And we can start, taking this show on the road. So with that being said, I really, really appreciate you. Thank you for coming and joining and sipping with me today. And I look forward to connecting soon. Until next time, y'all, I'm out.